Good afternoon or good morning, depending on where you are, and welcome to Thorogood's Power BI with Azure Synapse Analytics event. Before we start, let me introduce myself quickly. So my name is James Leonard, and I'm a Senior Data and Analytics Consultant at Thorogood Associates. And with the help of my colleague Deepika Bhatt, we'll be taking you through today's session on Power BI with Azure Synapse Analytics. So let's just start off with the agenda for today. First of all, I'll start off by giving a quick introduction to Thorogood. Following that, we'll jump into what Azure Synapse Analytics is. We'll look at some of its key features and how to use it. After this, we'll follow that by getting hands-on and do a demonstration of Azure Synapse Analytics and how it seamlessly integrates with Power BI. What we'll then do is end the session talking about where we see the opportunities and benefits from using Azure Synapse for both new and existing Power BI solutions, and we'll share some thoughts on how you can use them together effectively as well. So just starting off with a quick introduction to Thorogood. So for those of you in the room who aren't familiar with Thorogood, we're a specialist data engineering, data science, and data visualization consultancy with over 30 years of experience delivering data solutions to leading enterprise organizations. The solutions we deliver are still based on our founding principle. That is, by always locking onto the business goals and then unleashing the technical analytics capabilities, we can maximize the opportunities from those business objectives. We maintain this business focus across a range of delivery areas, right through from initial strategies and roadmaps, proof of concept and pilot delivery, to the full solution implementation, and then the wider rollout of that solution. We do this by not only maintaining the solutions, but empowering individuals and the organizations they work for to use the tools that we create. We do this with the help of our technology partners. So we're an independent consultancy, meaning we don't partner with just one vendor, but work with the best of breed technologies in the data engineering, data science, and data visualization space. Having said this, we are talking about a Microsoft product today. So we are a Microsoft Gold partner, and we have been for over 15 years. We're Gold partners in 5 different competency areas that are very relevant to the content that we're going to cover today. I should also add, we do, with Microsoft, run a wide range of educational marketing event sessions like today's event. We have our own active calendar, like the event you're attending at the moment, but we also cover a lot of industry-focused use cases, such as advanced analytics in tools like Databricks, through to how to run things like a data-driven organization. But we'll hear more from Deepika about that at the end. Okay, so with that quick introduction to Thorogood, what I'll do is start by talking about what is Azure Synapse Analytics and some of those key features that I spoke about at the beginning. So on the surface, many people think that Azure Synapse Analytics is simply Azure SQL Data Warehouse evolved. However, it's really much more than that. It's more than just a few new capabilities in an update to what was SQL Data Warehouse. Azure Synapse Analytics represents a modern, holistic, and unified approach to analytics that's pretty unique in the industry. It gives data professionals the freedom to query data on their terms, using either some of the serverless on-demand functionality or dedicated provision resources at what is essentially limitless scale. So with Azure Synapse, we are bringing together kind of 2 divided worlds. That's both the relational data and big data, with a single kind of unified experience or a single pane of glass that allows us to ingest, prepare, manage, and serve data for immediate kind of business intelligence and machine learning needs as well. So just some of the kind of key features. So with limitless scale in Azure Synapse, you're guaranteed industry-leading performance on any demanding workloads, such as those that you would have experienced within enterprise data warehousing, but also the ability to use the new serverless on-demand query capability to query all of your data, be it within your warehouse or within your data lake as well. And you can deliver powerful insights across your business because Synapse is deeply integrated with Power BI, but also Azure Machine Learning as well. So this will significantly reduce project development time, but also enable data professionals across your organization to apply intelligence over all of their most important data. And this is all accomplished, as I said, with a unified experience where all that data prep, data management, warehousing, big data, and AI tasks can be done in a single unified workspace, which Deepika will show in just a little bit. And of course, security is always paramount, so Synapse provides fine-grained access control to ensure your data stays safe and private at all times. So just a little bit more under the hood. So at the base, Synapse Analytics brings together multiple sources of data, so we can bring together that unstructured and structured data, be it from our on-premise systems, cloud systems, devices, and so on. So essentially meeting that requirement to handle big data using Azure Data Lake storage. Crucially then, it allows the integration, management, monitoring and securing of these data sets under that unified experience. So I've already mentioned using on-demand SQL, but the SQL language, but also Apache Spark within there as well. It also has that tight integration with other Microsoft, and also non-Microsoft components to empower business users to make more informed decisions in the tools of their choice at a much faster pace. And it's really in this way that Synapse makes it easier to bring our organizations together by helping them securely collaborate, share, and analyze all data. I can't emphasize it enough, in a single environment, while being able to run really whatever type of code they want as well. So that's probably enough of me talking. So I'm going to hand over to Deepika, who's going to take a demo of Azure Synapse Analytics and how it integrates with Power BI. So Deepika, over to you.
Thank you, James, for that introduction. And hopefully my screen has come up, which is now showing you the Microsoft Azure workspace. So as James was mentioning, we're going to be looking in this demo quickly across the unified web portal, or the workspace, which is now called the Synapse workspace, using which you can unify all your different aspects of data processing, data engineering, or exploration, along with the capabilities like reporting into a single pane of glass. So when we go onto the Azure portal, you can see that I have my Synapse workspace here. And as soon as I go into Synapse Studio, or as it is also called Azure Synapse Analytics, and I look at the homepage, it tells you all the different and great things that you can do with this single web portal. Starting with the data section. So when I go into the data feature here, you can see I have my workspace, which includes the Lake database and a SQL database, which you can use as your classic data warehouse, but also can be used to sort of do more exploratory work within the Synapse Analytics workspace. So this is sort of more structured databases that we have in place. But you'll also see there's an option of viewing the linked data stores. So you have an option of linking your Azure Blob storage or your Azure Data Lake storage, and which could be ingesting data from various structured or unstructured data sets. And you can browse through them with a single click of button. So without having to move to a different web page, or without having to install another management studio or any other application, you can quickly browse through the data that you have available from your data lake, do some exploratory analysis. So for example, in this case, if I wanted to browse whether it's data on my, I already have open a few folder structures here. So if I had some, for example, airline data, how the flights were impacted by COVID, I see that it's available to me within my enterprise data lake. And I want to quickly see what sort of data structures are present and start analyzing or do some, self-service work. I can very easily browse through these folder structures, look at the data formats that are available to me, and start browsing them without even having too much of technical skills, because as you can see, it also gives you by default options to create some default scripts, whether in SQL. If you're comfortable within other languages like Python or PySpark, you can also use the Apache engine to browse data in various ways. So in the interest of time, I already have created some of these auto-generated scripts. So you can see it has written up basic SQL scripts, and you have the option again to use your built-in or serverless SQL model, which means that you don't need to have a specific SQL pool provision, or you don't have to go to IT to provision resources for you, but you can use that inbuilt serverless engine, which will be charged on the go, and you can do your exploration. And when you say run, you can quite easily look at what the data structures look like. If you find you want to find some interesting trends, or just query the data on an ad hoc basis, this can be quite useful. You can also look at charts and various visualizations within this same framework. So this is a bit about exploring your data in a whether in a more data warehousing, creating tabular structures, or just doing some exploration. When I talk about linking your data lake stores or blob storage to this workspace, it doesn't mean you have to create new resources for this. You have the option of going into the linked services. So if I jump into the manage section and the monitoring section, let me just show you how you can link some of these resources. So when you go into the manage options, you have option to add a variety of linked services, which is as simple as clicking on a new service, searching for any existing, whether it's a Power BI workspace or a data lake store that you would want to link to your new Synapse workspace, and integrate in that single pane of glass. So for the purpose of the demo today, I've linked a couple of data stores, and I've also linked a couple of workspaces on which I've already maybe published some reports or want to create new data sets on. So how can we, so this is just linking of the service. How can we then browse and start looking at some of these reporting capabilities? So we had gone through the data section where we looked at our data warehouse and the data stores. We have the develop environment where you can create and save your SQL scripts for future use. You can also manage your notebooks. So in this case, I've pulled out a Python notebook. As you can see, it's attached to the Apache Spark pool and gives you the option of picking the language that you're comfortable in. So all of that can be, again, managed and updated in a collaborative fashion within this workspace. You also have the option of creating data flows. So I know that Power BI in itself offers features like, data prep, but if you're more visual and want a more interactive way of creating some of these the data transformations in a more drag and drop manner, you also have the capability of doing that within this framework before you try bringing the data into Power BI. So coming into the key aspect of today's webcast, that, the integrated feature of having Power BI within the same layer. So as you can see, the two linked workspaces, as I was showing in a couple of minutes ago, are appearing here within the same developed framework. And as I expand into these workspaces, you will see that when I click data sets, any existing data sets which I have permission to will start appearing here. So I have the option of viewing my report. So let's just open the trade profitability report, for example, which has already been published to me. So I have the option of viewing this report in case I wanted to create a copy, do some ad hoc changes. I also have the option of saving it back. And based on how you have set up the configuration, you can also let your users of the reports, save their own version, publish the reports further to other people within your business, within the business functions. Another aspect is if there are already published data sets which have been already, sort of vetted by the core IT teams, people can also go in and start creating new reports on top of it. For example, if there's a data set I already have access to, I can just start creating this report without even having to, download the desktop version of Power BI. In case I wanted to create any new data sets, that can also be quite simply done by just clicking this new button. And in this case, there's a provisioned SQL pool available to me. So any tables within this data warehouse will be available for me to create a data set on top of. This doesn't mean you lose the feature of, working on Power BI desktop. You can still connect to the same SQL pool from your Power BI desktop as well by whether it's the direct query mode or import mode by setting it to the relevant database that you want to connect to from the Synapse workspace. So that was just a quick tour of the Power BI from within the Synapse workspace. There's also other features like integrate and monitor. So people who are familiar with Azure Data Factory, this will feel quite familiar to you because this is nothing but Azure Data Factory, which offers you orchestration features of copying. Once you are at a stage where you want to industrialize your solution, you also have the ability to create pipelines for scheduled refreshes or moving data from your data lake to the data warehouse in an organized manner from the same framework. And finally, monitoring and managing your resources, as well as tracking what your failures and alerting mechanisms can be configured within the same thing. So hopefully this gives you a quick understanding of how the different components tie together within this framework. And going back to the slides and now talking a little bit more about what are the key opportunities that Azure Synapse brings to new or existing Power BI solutions. So now that you have a feel for how seamlessly the Synapse Studio unifies everything right from data exploration to ingestion to reporting, I will talk through some of the key opportunities that Azure Synapse brings to new or existing Power BI solutions. So as we know, Power BI by itself is quite a robust analytics platform consisting of several distinct BI components that can enable self-service and prove value quite quickly. But when we deploy these self-service solution at an enterprise-wide level, there are some common challenges that we see in implementing, for example, direct query at scale, having integrated security, managing workloads, having scalable data preparation, and effective collaboration. So let's dig a little bit deeper into these points individually, starting with direct query at scale. For those who are not familiar with the storage modes in Power BI, there are two main storage modes, import and direct query. As the name suggests, the import mode brings a copy of the data from your source, be it files, databases, or warehouse into Power BI, which itself can have benefits. But when we are talking about big data, it's not always practical or even in some cases possible to import all of the data into a Power BI model. So the obvious solution is direct query, which avoids data movement and uses live queries to retrieve data. But most sources that support direct query connectivity for Power BI have historically struggled to deliver both high user concurrency and the low query response times that are required for enterprise-wide solutions. So the need for performance at scale has driven many organizations even to pursue options such as Azure Analysis Services in the past, which takes us to the opportunity of deploying direct query at scale with Synapse Analytics at its core. So Azure Synapse supports performance optimizations, including materialized views and results-set caching to make direct query models a more feasible option for source data sets and supporting thousands of concurrent users as well. So the elastic compute and storage options will also help you optimize the costs while having the ability to scale at an enterprise level. So for example, you could schedule a scale up of a SQL pool to a higher service level at 8 a.m. and support the peak usage of Power BI that you might get from the users, but then scale back down to a lower level at 3 p.m. to manage the costs effectively. Moving on to the aspect of security. In many BI environments, data security is still seen as the responsibility of the semantic data model rather than having that implemented in the source data warehouse itself, which can often lead to frustration from the users having to request access to the same reports and models multiple times and having the additional overhead of the IT teams to manage. With Synapse Analytics, it's possible to pass users' identity from Power BI to Synapse SQL and allow Synapse to apply its security policies directly. So it's no longer necessary to duplicate the same security logic across multiple semantic models and reports again and again. Azure Synapse also offers out-of-the-box features like row-level security, column-level security, and dynamic data masking, which can be inherited by Power BI datasets and even other applications that will be using Synapse Analytics as its data source. So now that we know that the user identity can be passed through Power BI to Azure Synapse, next we can explore how it can further help customize our Power BI workloads. So first, if we look at how the standard BI workload is managed by the scheduler. So as we see, as the queries are hitting our source data set, they are managed in a first in, first out basis. As you can imagine, if there is a user like a CEO or a head of the organization who's trying to access the reports, but his queries keep getting deprioritized based on how exactly, because he was at the end of the queue. As you can imagine, this can cause quite a frustration, and the users that you would ideally want to have priority are not getting prioritized by the default scheduler. So with Azure Synapse, you can now set the workload importance by creating customized groups. This will ensure that the user queries are picked up based on importance rather than the default first in, first out scenario, and it will keep your key business users definitely happy. So as I previously mentioned, Power BI itself is quite a robust analytical tool, and as a result, self-service Power BI solutions often contain embedded data transformations and integration processes such as Power Query, data flows, or even calculated DAX columns and tables. Though these transformation processes, while can be useful in short and on smaller scale self-service scenarios, they can introduce quite significant risks to the scalability and sustainability of the solution. So Synapse Studio, as we saw, offers the opportunity to start using scalable data prep tools, whether be it advanced SQL scripts, data flows, or Python notebook at a much earlier stage, so that your solution can be scalable ready from the start. This can also give a chance to your business teams and Power BI developers to reallocate their efforts towards other aspects of the solution, such as generating insights, performing analytics, and providing an overall better user experience rather than struggling with or wrangling with data or optimizing the data prep, which in a lot of cases might not be their expertise. And this also gives us a nice segue into our final aspect of collaboration. So business intelligence has traditionally been hampered by the problems inherent with distinct teams and technologies working together on a common goal. A team that works on the data transformation processes, for example, is often unfamiliar with how these processes impact downstream applications such as Power BI. The ability to clearly communicate across teams is quite critical to delivering the intended results in a timely manner. As we just looked at Azure Synapse Studio, which is a web-based portal which has multiple data development experiences available, including data prep, orchestration, monitoring, as well as Power BI reports and data sets. So in this case, as we can see, our data scientists, data engineers, and Power BI developers will have utilized the data and develop features within the workspace, which will give them the capability of exploration and also writing the data prep code in the right way. The teams responsible for data pipelines and data into the SQL pools would generally utilize the integrate page to orchestrate those pipelines, whereas the IT teams might focus more on the monitor and manage features. So all the users, regardless of what their primary tools or skills are able to view and analyze a single source of truth rather than downloading separate softwares or not being sure where different components of their end-to-end solutions are tying up to. So this unification of teams and tools in a single portal offers a great opportunity to effectively collaborate together in an organization. So as we come towards the end of this section, a quick summary of the key takeaways on how Power BI and Synapse Analytics can be better together. First of all, using Azure Synapse's performance optimizations, you can enable delivering direct query at scale within your organization, leveraging integrated security features across multiple data sets and reports, and reducing the overhead of managing security across different models. Having the ability to customize the workload management based on importance rather than on the default scheduling. Also, the ability to leverage enterprise-grade data prep capabilities for a more scalable and robust solution right from the start. And finally, facilitating team collaboration and transparency through a common user interface. So before we wrap up, just quickly bringing up on Thorogood, how Thorogood has been helping customers across areas like cloud architecture strategies, data engineering, data science, machine learning, and many more other areas. So just put that on the screen for you to browse. Out to us if you have any follow-up questions or are interested to know more about our offerings. You can contact James or myself directly using the contact information we had shared earlier, which I'll also bring back up at the end of the session, or you can also directly reach us via our website. Since you were interested in today's webcast, we have a few upcoming events that might be of interest to you. We host webcasts like this one, as well as live virtual webcasts and briefings across various regional locations. Please do visit our website to learn a little bit more about our upcoming events, and also you can browse on-demand content available on a variety of topics. We come to the end of today's session. Thank you guys for joining us today and hope you found it useful. I am putting up our contact information again, so in case you want to reach out to us for any further queries on today's topic or regarding any other topics we might be able to help you with, please feel free to reach out. Thank you for joining us and have a lovely rest of the day.